because that crucial vote will be taken. Kweku, what do you have on the order paper?
So, Blessed, according to this provisional order paper, which is usually advertised 24 hours to settle, it has the motion of the minority leader and the minority chief whip, as well as 127 other MPs who are seeking a vote of censure to remove Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta in accordance with Article 82 of the 1992 Constitution. So this order paper repeats the 7 key grounds that the minority are seeking to canvass to use to remove Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta from office tomorrow.
Quickly, let's break this down. First of all, tell us about the demands from the minority side of the House. Aside the issue of the economic hardship, what more reasons are accounting for this?
So indeed, if you look at the first reason that the minority are laying to seek the censure against Finance Minister, they say he's accused of the double conflict of interest, ensuring that he directly benefits from Ghana's economic system. His companies receive commission and other unethical contractual advantages, particularly from US debt overhang, unconstitutional withdrawals from the consolidated fund, in blatant contravention of the Constitution, to accuse the finance minister of illegal payment of oil revenues into offshore accounts in flagrant violation of the 1992 Constitution. They say the finance minister has been deliberately dishonest in reporting economic data to Parliament. And the last 3 grounds are that there is fiscal recklessness leading to the crash of the Ghana city, and then alarming incompetence, and then finally, gross mismanagement of the Ghanaian economy, which has occasioned untold and unprecedented hardship. So these are the 7 grounds upon which Haruna Idrisu and Muntaka Mubarak Mohammed, as well as the 127 other MPs who filed this motion, will be anchoring that demand, which is seeking the removal of the finance minister.
And you've been in Parliament all day. Have we heard from any of the MPs already on what is likely to happen tomorrow?
Indeed, on 1:32 today, when the House adjourned, the minority deputy whip, Ahmed Ibrahim, brought on his colleagues to come to the floor tomorrow as early as possible so that this can be done. According to Ahmed Ibrahim, it is very, very important for honorable MPs to take this constitutional imperative very important and then seek to act against the finance minister. We know that over the past few weeks, he and his colleagues in leadership of the minority bench have been rallying their colleagues on both sides to support this motion. So just before the House adjourned today, they gave an inkling of what was expected to happen tomorrow, giving the indication that this side is ready to move this motion and that whenever it's ready, they want their colleagues in the majority to support.
They have to get this succeed, because when it succeeds, then everybody will now be careful about trying to hurt them. If it fails, I can assure you they are not going to find it easy. So my encouragement to them is that, please, at least your 80, some may chicken out of fear, but your conviction for which reason you decided to do what you did, you have a 136 that is there to give you the minimum threshold to build upon. Come join us, because I can assure you tomorrow we'll make history. If you join us, we'll make history, and for the first time in the history of our country, ministers will begin to take the work that they have given super, super serious and know that there are consequences if you fail to act and manage according to the way you are supposed to do. The output that is expected of you, people will begin to sit up. But if it fails, obviously, it will be business as usual. Because remember, this is the closest that we've come, where there's at least half of the House waiting for some few to join. Most of the time, you have the majority have overwhelming number. So it's like, oh, this matter I do about nothing. In 1999, when the MPP were daring to do this, their number was just about 60, is it 68 or 61, between 60 and 69. And the majority had overwhelming 130 something. So, I mean, it was like, oh, we're just doing it for the record. Okay. But this time, the number is so close that with just about 50 more members, it could happen. So if it succeeds, Believe me, for the rest of the 2 years, any minister of state will be careful because he knows there could be danger. But if it fails, then it's like, oh, business as usual. So they'll continue to do the things that they are doing that will be hurting all of us. And then we'll continue the excessive partisanship that will not help our country.
Well, so that's the Minority Chief Whip, Muntaka Mubarak, speaking with Aisha Ibrahim. That full interview later tonight on PM Express. But the man at the center of all of this, Ken Oforiatta himself, says that he's been through the pains and aches and feels blessed to have the opportunity to lead the country. That, at least that's how close we've come to getting a sense of how the finance minister himself feels about calls for his resignation.
Just to assure you that you have a finance minister who has gone through all the pains and aches, and nobody can really come and say you don't understand what we are doing. The question is, what resources do we have and how are we going to deploy them in the nation that we have, and how do you stand firm in very difficult circumstances, but being very confident that the nation is purposed for greatness, and you are blessed to have the opportunity to lead where we are going. And let me assure you all that your best bet is still Ghana. We can do it, and we should do it.
You're still with us on Top Story. Let's connect now to Ahmed Ibrahim, MP for Banda, who also doubles as the Deputy Minority Chief Whip in Parliament. Mr. Ibrahim, thank you for joining us here on Top Story.
Good evening, my brother.
So we've just heard from the Finance Minister himself indicating that he's been through a lot of pains and aches. Are you not emotionally moved by what it is that, the government appointee has to say, giving the grounds that you are asking him to leave office?
Brother, let me say a very good evening to your cherished listeners. Regarding the censorship motion that we are going to do tomorrow, it has nothing to do with emotions. We are representatives of the good people of Ghana. We have been given the power of the purse. We have given the mandate to the Minister of Finance to collect taxes on behalf of the people and to use those taxes on behalf of the people. But the people have given us the mandate to check him. So if we say because of emotion, we are going to relent on our work, what do you think will become out of the Ghanaian Parliament?
Well, I'm asking the question because probably his pains and aches may be stemming from how difficult it is for any individual who may be finance minister at the time when the country is recovering from a global shock, the COVID-19 pandemic. And then we're beginning to feel the effects of the Russian-Ukrainian war. These are some of the reasons for which, for instance, the president himself believes that Ken should still be in office. So, given the situation he finds himself in, why not give him some more days to stay and to change the course of the country?
Rather, is Ken Oforiatta the minister for Russia-Ukraine, or he's the minister of Ghana? We gave you the position of Ghana's finance minister. You cannot be talking of Russia-Ukraine. Then if that is the case, until Russia-Ukraine war comes to an end, Ghanaians are not going to solve their economic or financial problems. Is that what you are telling me?
Let's take a look at his books, for instance. This is a finance minister that moved us into a single-digit inflation range, very rare in our political history. And you agree that post-COVID, looking at the COVID era, then our figures began to look bad. So doing the comparative analysis, some believe that it may not entirely be the fault of Ken Oforiatta. Don't you think so?
Brother, what the economic Ken Oforiatta inherited was predicted to grow by double-digit inflation in 2017 as a result of the new oil that were going to come on board. And as a result of Ghana Gas, that was going to come on board. So the oil wells came on board in 2017, 2018. Ghana Gas came on board in 2017, 2018. So the oil economy, the oil growth, propelled us to get the 7-digit inflation that was predicted pre-2016. And don't forget, at that time too, we were on IMF program. Beyond that, the Ministry of Finance was divided into three. There was a minister in charge of economic planning, and that was Honorable Professor Jambafo. There was minister in charge of economic monitoring, and that was a monitoring of program. That was Mr. Dr. Akoto Osei. And even there was a senior minister monitoring all the economic programs. So pre-2020, we had four ministers. The Minister for Economic Planning, which was Dr. Professor Jambafo. The Minister for Finance, which was Ken Oporata. The Minister for Monitoring Economic Ministries, that was the Senior Minister Osapo Mafo. And the Minister for Monitoring and Evaluation, that was Dr. Akoto Afriye. Then there was a Minister of State at the Ministry of Finance, that was Ken Oforata. So the Ministry of Finance was divided into five and given to five people. 2020, after the election, in 2021, Professor Economic Planning was added to Ken Oforata. Monitoring and Evaluation was added to Ken Oforata. Economic monitoring, Osapo Mafo's role was also given to Ken Oforata. So it's like that was the time that Ghanaians were saying that we wanted to see his effort. And his results are nothing to write on about. On 30th October, the president came out to admit that the economy is in crisis. And if we give you the mandate to turn around our economy, and the economy is in crisis, even this pre-COVID era that I'm giving the figures, we were also getting access to the international monetary market. So we were borrowing to hold the value of the thing. Now the opportunity to borrow is closed. Right. Now that the investment banker has no access to go and borrow, and he's not an expert in economic development or economic planning, what is the essence of keeping him there?
And the biggest hurdle you may be facing tomorrow will be about the constitutionally required numbers. The fear is 137 of your MPs may not be sufficient in getting what it is that you want.
Brother, you remember in economic finances or public finances, credibility is an issue. The Minister for Finance, if you listen to the veteran economist, Kwame Pieni, he said the minister is facing credibility problems. And therefore, our messenger to the IMF program is not credible. So if we don't have a credible messenger on the IMF, and the country Ghana cannot present a budget by the constitutional and legal mandated day of 15th November, and we are now going to be waiting on the messenger who is not credible to come from the IMF before we do that. It is a duty, moral and national duty for all the 275 MPs to make sure that we come to the chamber tomorrow and we have the 183 votes to be able to keep the finance minister out.
At least they started the process by holding a press conference, calling on the president to dismiss Ken Oforata, and then there's a U-turn, a statement signed to that effect by the majority leader himself, was HMN Sabun. So indicating that the president intends to have that conversation after we're done with the IMF negotiations. And all of these MPs say, we agree with the president.
If you listen to them very well, it's not emphatic that the president is going to sack the finance minister after the IMF program. And let me tell you, do you remember that Kwesi Kwarteng, the finance minister of UK, was seated with Ken Oforata in the IMF meeting? Kwesi Kwarteng himself has been sacked. The Prime Minister of UK has been sacked. Liz Truss has been sacked. Boris Johnson has been sacked. Now there's a second finance minister and there's a second prime minister. Has the UK economy collapsed?
But anyway, we need to state on record that Liz Truss actually resigned as a matter of fact.
No, but
beyond that,
what I'm saying is that
yes,
within
I
the
just want
last
to
6
move
months,
beyond that. Yes, I get that point. But let's move beyond that. The issue about the numbers, convincing the, colleagues on the other side of the aisle, that would not be an easy task.
The majority leader himself has questioned the House by saying that a businessman brought money that he was coming to bribe them and they sacked him. If truly they didn't take the money and they sacked the businessman, then they should be present in the chamber to vote and sack the finance minister tomorrow. Failure to do that will create some kind of doubt on the amount of democratic watchers. And our parliament is going to be suffering credibility problems. And to save Ghana and to save the eroding image of parliament, they must be present tomorrow in parliament for us to vote and sack the finance minister. The president is a lawyer. If you read Article 82 of the Constitution, it says that once the motion of censure has been received by the finance minister, it must be debated and passed within 14 days.
So we'll get to the legality of it. Honorable Ahmed Ibrahim, just hold on for us, because even on that constitutional article you're referring to, there may be another hurdle. Let me bring in now a former government spokesperson on finance who also had the chance of sitting in some of these meetings when you're in the House. I'm talking about Daniel Ochema-Boaji, who is also former MP for the Bantama constituency. Good evening to you, sir. The calls are raging, and part of the reasons for which the minority believes that the Ken must go is simply because of the collapse of the Ghanaian economy and also the excruciating cost of living crisis. Some say you don't need a magician to tell you that because if you look at our rate of inflation, even as at the end of October, we're surging above 40%. What more do you need to convince the president that he must let Ken go?
Let me say good evening to you, Blessed, and your team, and to my senior Honorable Ahmed and your good listeners. I believe the situation we find ourselves as a country now is difficult. The president has accepted that we are in serious economic difficulties. We are, in fact, in crisis. Everybody understands that. Both internal and external factors account for this. And it's quite challenging, I must be honest with you. I think everybody knows. So I will want to advise our friends on the other side that if they really mean serious business, they should really be working with the majority people to be able to accomplish what they wish to do.
And these your same colleagues have issued a statement. They're telling the people of Ghana that they agree with the approach of the president, that we must first get done with the IMF deal before we even have a conversation, on issues relating to relieving the finance minister of his post.
I don't think the president is out of place. The president is saying that, you know what, I hear you. 80 of you have come out majority side. You are asking me to take a decision on the finance minister, but please give me time for him to finish the discussion and the negotiation that is going on. We have a budget that has to be presented in a couple of weeks. Let's wait after these two major events. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. So if our friends on the other side really mean business, they should also be willing to wait. Let's wait and see what happens in 2 weeks' time. Let's wait and see what happens after these two events. And that's when you'll be able to convince Ghanaians that, okay, you know what? Even the majority MPs who asked the president to fire the finance minister have agreed to wait. So why don't we wait with them? And then after that, we all join hands together in the interest of Ghana and pursue a common cause that is going to help all of us, if that is what they really are wishing or thinking. But to say you have 136 or 137, half of the House, and you can win this vote of, no confidence, and be able to sack the finance minister, to me, they don't have the numbers. They don't. So for me, it's just that they have to wait. They have to exercise a bit of patience, and they have to also be willing to work with the majority side, because otherwise, I can tell you, they don't have the numbers.
I'm sure that you've, come across the argument that you as a political party have moved with the refrain that you have, quote, the men. So that question stares you in the face. Where are the men in the NPP? Why wouldn't it be a simple case of just finding a replacement for Ken Ofori-Atta?
The power to appoint and disappoint lies in the hands of the president. All right? That is what the Constitution says. So, yes, we do have the men, but the president has the power. We have given it the executive power, the president the executive power, to be able to appoint or disappoint. Much as you wish to appeal to the president, or many people are calling for the head of the finance minister, the power lies again in the hands of the president.
And Daniel Otemabaji, you are a stalwart of the New Patriotic Party. Address this rumors for us. The fact that some of your members of your political party, are in fact running away from taking on the appointment. They believe this is the toughest time to be a finance minister. Is that correct?
I don't think anybody is running away, so to say. If you have opportunity to be appointed as the finance minister, it's an honor. That I'm sure the platform that gives you a chance to serve your country. All right? So if the president gives you that honor and invites you to become a finance minister or to replace somebody or to do something, much as you would like to look at it and the timing of it and everything, I sincerely believe that it's an honor to probably step up to the show and serve their country, regardless. All right? But we have not gotten to the point yet, even though there are so many calls that is asking that the president consider reshuffling the finance minister. To me, we should wait. There's a conversation going on. At least the president has heard the 80 MPs and even Ghanaians and say, please, let's wait. Let's deal with these two major events, the budget and the negotiation. And then after that, we will have a conversation or he'll make a decision.
Okay.
How much more time do we have to wait? Not too long.
Well, the minority is running out of time on that. But let's wrap up, gentlemen. And I'll start off with you, Ahmed Ibrahim. Back on the issue of Article 82 of the 1992 Constitution, which you're referring to, the first hurdle I was talking about was the two-thirds majority which you need in Parliament. Beyond that as well, even the passage of the votes of censure for some legal brains may not necessarily mean that the finance minister would have to leave office. Ultimately, that appointing authority lies in the president, so he may have to revoke the appointment. How would you deal with that legal hurdle?
Let me welcome my brother Ochen Abwaji, who is also a finance expert and qualified to be a finance minister as well.
You want him on a lighter note. You want him to replace Ken Ofori-Atta.
On a lighter note, he qualifies as well. It's one of the men they have. But on a very serious note, what you were saying, if you read Article 82, Clause 5, it says where a vote of censure is passed against a minister under this article, the president may, unless the minister resigns his office, revoke his appointment as a minister. So there are two options. Either the minister resigns or the president will fire him after the two-thirds majority vote in Parliament. That is our understanding about it. And the Constitution also says the minister of state, in respect of whom a vote of censure is being debated under this clause or article, is entitled during the debate to be heard in his defense. So tomorrow, the Minister of Finance, if he so desire, he can come and defend himself on the floor. He has that mandate. But as to whether he's able to defend himself or not, everything will be put into vote.
And once we garner two-thirds majority, he has no business being there. We are doing this not because of sheer hatred, but we are doing this because of the mere conviction and admission by the president that he cannot achieve debt sustainability until 2028.
All right, then.
Meanwhile, your mandate expires in the next 2 years. And you are saying that even in the next 2 years, you cannot solve the problem unless after 2028. Then, if that is what you are saying, and you think we in minority will sit down looking at you where you have admitted clearly that you cannot fix the problem until after 6 years' time, where will you, Nana Akufo-Addo, be in 6 years' time?
Interesting question you are asking there, but unfortunately we've run out of time. Let me give the rest of the 30 seconds left to Daniel Otumabwaji.
Well, let me say that the minority don't have the numbers. They have to wait. Majority MPs have spoken. The president has responded. I think 2 weeks or a month from now is not too far. And in the interest of all, Ghana, we should all unite to support the president and wait and see what happens.
And indeed, we'll be monitoring events as they unfold in Parliament tomorrow. You want to make a date with us here on Joy News. All of our platforms will definitely be covering that for you. And that's it for Top Story. I'm Blessed Sogah. Log on to myjoyonline.com for updates. Next is Newsnight.